Donald Trump's economic gamble backfires, and even he knows it. It's becoming impossible to ignore. The US economy is taking a serious hit, and the man at the center of it all, former President Donald Trump, appears to be feeling the pressure. The markets are in turmoil, recession fears are mounting, and layoffs are already impacting tens of thousands of workers across the country. Let's be honest, Trump has never been known for his economic genius, but even he can't pretend everything's fine anymore. His latest outburst on Truth Social, it reeks of panic, and for good reason. China has just clapped back at Trump's aggressive tariff strategy, and the fallout could be devastating. We'll dive into Trump's meltdown in a moment, but first, if you're enjoying this breakdown, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out and keeps this conversation going. Now, before we unpack China's fiery response and Trump's desperate reaction, let's rewind to just yesterday. What exactly did Donald Trump expect China to do?
On your earlier comment about TikTok, you said that the Chinese might be willing to agree to approve that sale in exchange for tariff relief. Is that something that you've floated to them or you've heard from them? Or
no, I'm just using that as an example.
Okay.
Let's say we had a problem with TikTok, and let's say China wasn't going to approve. We could use tariffs in order to get it approved. You know,
The deadline is
you give them
Saturday.
something in return.
What's the update on the deal negotiations for
We have,
TikTok?
we're very close to a deal with a very good group of people for TikTok.
Larry Ellison and Oracle?
Is it multiple investors? Just
Multiple.
And then did the last minute bids kind of throw things into disarray for you, or do you have your strategy completely locked up on who's going to
Which last minute?
on acquiring TikTok?
No,
There were, like, some last minute
I think that China maybe will call and say, well, we're upset with the tariffs, and maybe they want to get something a little bit in order to get TikTok approved. Who knows?
Is there plans underway to speak to
I
Xi?
have no knowledge of that, but that's the kind of thing.
On Israel, can you give us
Trump miscalculated big time, and the fallout is real. We talked about this just yesterday. Donald Trump genuinely seemed to believe that TikTok of all platforms was somehow going to play defense for him. He was openly implying that the app was happy to amplify his message, propaganda included. But here's the real question. In what universe did he think cozying up to the TikTok CEO would stop China from firing back with its own tariffs? It's baffling. There's no clear logic to it. His approach wasn't strategy, it was wishful thinking at best. And now the results are speaking for themselves. Markets are tumbling, recession odds spiking. It's a direct result of this economic game of chicken he's been playing and losing. Even Fox News, which usually bends over backwards to spin the narrative in Trump's favor, couldn't sugarcoat this one. Yes, that Fox News, actually reporting on how bad this is for the economy.
China responds to Trump's tariffs, and the market sells off again. Starting April 10th, China will apply a 34% tariff on all imported goods from the United States. Thursday was the worst day for stocks since March 2020, and very early this morning, prices were falling again. Then, around 6 a.m. Eastern, the China news hit, and stocks doubled their losses. Now, we don't know if other countries will retaliate in the same way. We don't know the effect on corporate profits. We don't know the effect on inflation. Talk about uncertainty. The Dow set to lose about, let's see now, about 970 points at the opening bell. The S&P 500, 123. The NASDAQ down about 455. Plenty of red ink. Little context, please. Stocks up roughly 20% in both 2023 and 2024. So we're down roughly 20% so far in 25.
China hits back, and the economic fallout is undeniable. So here we are. China's response, completely predictable. And yet somehow Trump didn't see it coming. Their counter tariffs are now hammering the markets, pushing them further into chaos. The result? A skyrocketing chance of recession. Right now, economists are putting the odds at 60%, a massive leap from where we were at the end of Biden's term, when the risk hovered around just 1%. Remember that? All through the Biden presidency, critics were practically guaranteeing a recession. And what did we actually get? A booming economy. Fast forward to Trump's return, and suddenly, people were promised another so-called economic miracle. So, where is it? What are we doing now? Watching markets crash, jobs vanish, and global relations fracture. It's not just left-leaning analysts saying this either. Even voices from Trump's own circle are calling it out. Take a listen to what Marco Rubio, yes, someone from Trump's own political lane, had to say about this economic nosedive.
Say economies are crashing, markets are crashing, because markets are based on the stock value of companies who today are embedded in modes of production that are bad for the United States.
Even Trump's allies are admitting it, and that says a lot. You know it's bad when even Marco Rubio, one of Trump's usual defenders, is calling it out. I mean, yeah, the old saying goes, even a broken clock is right twice a day, and here we are. When the markets are crashing and recession alarms are blaring, even the usual loyalists can't keep pretending everything's fine. And that, right there, is exactly why Donald Trump is spiraling. He's not just playing tough for the cameras, he's panicking. You can see it all over his Truth Social feed. The all caps, the finger pointing, the wild blame game. It's classic Trump under pressure. And in his latest post, he basically confirms what we've all been saying. He knows this isn't working. China played it wrong. They panicked the one thing they cannot afford to do. Tariffs are taxes, and Americans are paying the price. Let's clear something up, because this logic is getting flipped on its head. You'll hear MAGA voices saying, China can't afford to put tariffs on us. Really? Because if you're admitting that tariffs hurt consumers, then guess what? That's exactly what's happening to us. Tariffs are taxes, not on China, not on foreign companies, on us, American consumers. So if Trump's entire economic strategy is slapping tariffs on imports, then who's really footing the bill? Spoiler alert, it's not China. It's regular Americans at the checkout line. And yet somehow Trump supporters are trying to spin this as patriotic suffering. We've got hosts like Harris Faulkner literally saying it's noble to pay more because of Trump's policies. You don't need a new iPad. You don't need a car. You don't need to replace your broken fridge. Just tough it out. Be a patriot. Lose your job for Donald Trump. It's absurd. It's tone deaf. And most importantly, it's falling apart. Slowly but surely, even some of the most diehard MAGA loyalists are cracking. You can see the panic setting in.
What President Trump is initiating here, this is a long-held belief that he believes that tariffs will correct those problems. But what's also indisputable is the markets are down about 8% in just 2 days, and I'm getting all kinds of reaction from businesses, farmers in Wisconsin that are highly concerned about what's happening. So those are the facts. I don't know, all I can really do is kind of report the reality to the administration, let them know, how these these actions are impacting my constituents, and it'll be pretty much up to President Trump and his administration to determine exactly how long they're going to go down this road, when they can start negotiating with our trading partners. Obviously, some gains, $5 to $6 trillion of investment has been committed. That's what President Trump claims. Some of our trading partners have lowered tariffs. So I just can't predict how this is going to turn out here. It's a bold, risky move.
It's the uncertainty that's hurting the market as well.
Here, Trump's tariff meltdown. Even MAGA is hitting the breaking point. This might honestly be the lowest point for Donald Trump with his MAGA base. And that's saying something. What's wild is that we've now seen more Republican senators speak out against his tariff disaster than we ever did after January 6th. Let that sink in. And no, we don't need to get into a full-blown comparison here, but come on. Ted Cruz was ready to defend an insurrection, yet now, suddenly he's like, I don't know about these tariffs, man. Trump might have finally lost the plot. This is where the MAGA loyalty starts to crack. It's taken them years, but now they're realizing what we've all known. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Every decision he makes is a short-sighted move to benefit himself and his ultra-wealthy circle. And here's the kicker. Not even his rich friends are winning this time. The stock market is tanking. Investors who once toasted champagne at his inauguration, they've lost tens of billions. It's a total collapse. Pure economic pandemonium. And at the center of it all, Donald J. Trump. Fortunately, Ari Melber recently broke this all down with precision. How deep this goes, how far the damage spreads. Take a look at what he had to say.
Risking a recession, and that's according to many experts in the coverage we've seen all across this chaotic day. And let's be clear, Trump's policies slapping a giant tax on Americans, as his former VP Mike Pence put it today. Numbers do not lie. We always try to show you the facts here and lead with the facts. And while some numbers are so bad that we can all reasonably agree it's not a good thing, it's a bad thing, I want to begin not with my observation or Nicole's or what we've discussed in plain English, but the numbers that show these are the most damaging tariffs in a century. And this is now, today, the largest stock slide since the global pandemic first arrived in President Trump's first term.
Markets look set to sell off as Donald Trump imposes the steepest U.S. import levies in a century.
I don't think there's a single positive take on this. This is all just bad.
Stocks set to wipe out nearly $2 trillion in market value.
Taking a plunge as investors react to the sweeping tariffs. The world was yesterday sort of bracing for a bazooka, but Trump decided he was going to go the Chicago way, and he dropped an economic Moab.
They are going to turn it upside down, and I think 50-50 into a recession.
Markets tanking. Experts warning of a recession which would be self-inflicted by a new president in the beginning of the term, almost unheard of. In fact, to find a stock slide this bad, as mentioned, you have to go beyond any of the normal volatility. You have to go beyond the inflation-plagued Biden term. And you have to go back to that unusual moment, which we all shared together, when the world began to grasp that it was facing a global pandemic in COVID. The market is a collection of companies and people reacting to events. And it began to quickly absorb how bad the pandemic was going to be. And that was the last time we saw this large a drop. Stocks suffer biggest one-day wipeout in value since that March 2020 pandemic is the Wall Street Journal's headline today, a kind of a Bible for Wall Street. You can see the steep plunge in the combined drop there among the 500 largest companies. Those are the biggest companies that trade publicly. And you can see the reaction quite clear to the Trump tariff announcement, these new tariffs that escalate what was already a costly trade war. It is hard to put the numbers, which I told you is how we're leading tonight, so you can just remember some of the basic math, but it's hard to actually put them in perspective. I could tell you that that is a sudden, seismic 4.8% drop in all of those stocks, the 500 stocks traded on S&P, or I could estimate the value. It's a rough number, but it is a big one. That drop constitutes, in response to Trump's plan, which he was warned against, over $2 trillion lost here. Similar story on the Dow, down about 4%. The other broad stock exchange, the NASDAQ, even worse, plummeting 6%. This is the math. Numbers don't lie. These are the new Trump tariffs, which, as many people warned, many experts warned, and many Trump allies, Republicans, Wall Street veterans warned, are now sinking every market index, battering U.S. stocks. If you look at the measure that includes more companies, they're actually hit the worst. In other words, I mentioned that 4% was trillions. The 2000 index of the companies that include smaller companies located in other parts of the country, et cetera, they're actually taking it the worst. And there's a lot of Trump voters and, frankly, a lot of people in general affected. But that's down 21% from its market high. These tariffs from Trump are escalating the trade war to new heights. They're guaranteeing more countermeasures in the trade war as they hit every country, big or small, rich or poor. Take one conservative magazine that tracks this very closely, The Economist. They call it now Ruination Day, showing President Trump quite literally sawing the U.S. off the map. A self-inflicted wound, isolating us from the rest of the global economy. It's a contrast from a few months back under Biden, when The Economist, which is a right-leaning kind of pro-corporate but internationally objective magazine, that's what they say they are, commented that at that point we had the economy that was the envy of the world.
So, yeah. This is what happens when you elect a guy who was never fit to lead. It's not great, folks. It's really not. And honestly, I don't even know what more to say at this point. This is exactly why Donald Trump was never going to be the everything some people wanted him to be. Not you. You already knew what he was. A liar, a con man, a wannabe authoritarian, a fascist, plain and simple. But for months, years even, we kept hearing it. Oh, he doesn't mean it. He wouldn't actually do that. It's just talk. Number believe him. Not because he's honest, but because when he says something cruel, reckless, or dangerous, he means it. And that's what we're going to keep calling out. If you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. If you want to keep supporting independent commentary that holds power to account, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop a blue heart in the comments so I know you stuck around to the end. Until next time, stay informed, stay critical, and take care of each other.